This is a video about how to disassemble and repair a SRAM Red 10-speed rear shifter. This is a quick shot of the tools that I used. You're going to need a pretty small point Phillips screwdriver. Some jeweler's screwdrivers would be helpful. A really small Allen key, a couple of small pairs of pliers. So the first step is after you've removed the shifter from the bike, there's this little panel on the left side, and you just remove 3 of these Phillips screws. Comes right off. The internal gear work is inside there, and that's all held in there by some pins and clips. They're pretty difficult to remove, but with some patience you're going to be able to get it off. So you can see here, this is the reason that I'm repairing this shifter. The red cable drum in there is broken. So that's the piece that actually holds the end of the cable and does the shift. When you move the shift lever, that pulls the cable through. So this piece is broken. I've got a spare from an extra shifter that I bought on eBay for parts. And I've got that part out of the other unit. Right there. So now it's just a matter of swapping them out. So in order to get that piece out, there is a little screw here, a very small screw that is kind of a safety screw that holds a pin in. So this whole mechanism inside there is held together with one long pin that goes through the mechanism, and that pin from my spare, the pin is exactly like that. So it's the same on both ends. It pushes through. There's a stop underneath the brake lever where it can no longer go any further. So it goes in actually from this direction, from that little hole right there. And what keeps it from backing out is that safety screw. So that little screw has to come out, and then it's a matter of trying to find a way to push the pin through that hole. Alright, so I found out that I'm going to need to take the brake lever off. It's just next to impossible to reach the pin in there with it on there. So what I've done to remove the brake lever, there's a one pin that holds the brake lever in there, and it pushes out from the inside. So in order to kind of support the body of it, I put a nut on the other side, taped it on there to hold it in place, and then I simply used a punch and a small hammer to tap it out. If you don't have a punch, you could use some kind of a big nail or something like that. Okay, the pin is fairly easy to get to with the brake lever removed. So I'm holding the shift lever down, as you can see here, and right in the middle of the shot there's a small silver pin. A little difficult to see in the video, but what you need to do is to get your tiny Allen key, which I've got over here. Okay, and then the Allen key is going to be used to, it's not actually an Allen head, it's just a flat pin, but you've got to get in there and push at an angle. So you're going to kind of go in this way, find the tip of the pin and push it down there so it'll go through the body. Alright, so I was able to get it. This is now the second time I've done this since I disassembled the spare shifter that I got online. So I took that one apart, and I'm taking this one apart, and it only took about maybe 5 minutes or so after wiggling the Allen key, and then I got the pin pushed part way through. What I had to do is grab a good little pair of pliers here and kind of pull at the end of it to get that pulled through. So after that pin is out, these parts will all be pretty loose, and so what I'm going to need to do is I'll have to hold down this little latch mechanism and then see if I can get the cable drum to pull out of there. So with some gentle tapping and some patience with a punch and a little hammer, I was able to get the pin all the way out, and I promptly replace the cable drum and put the pin right back in, and then put the safety screw back in. Now it's just a matter of putting the brake lever back on and the pin in there, and sticking this back on the bike and cabling it up. I'm going to leave this little housing off until I get the cable all in and squared away, and then this housing can go back on the bike. So the last thing after having it all put back together is, since I've got it apart, I'm going to go ahead and hit it with a good degreaser, let it dry off, and then I'll use a Teflon spray to put in there as a general lubricant. And then after that, so here's degreaser, I'll stick a little lithium grease on some of the key moving parts.